right. Welcome to Riff Tide, everybody. My name is Ben, and this is Clay, and this is the second episode of our podcast.
Oh, how's everybody today?
Today's topic, we are going to be talking about some of the most expensive items ever sold in the music industry.
We're not talking about the election?
No.
Oh, I thought that's what everybody wanted to hear about.
I don't think anybody still even knows what's going on
now
with
that that's over.
So, yeah, anyways.
Yeah.
Before we get to talking about the most expensive things, I want to talk about something that is not super expensive. This is the new Shure MV7 that just came out. We got a bunch of these in, and we've been playing with these microphones, and so far we are stupid impressed with how these things sound.
That's the one Tyler was talking about the other day.
Yeah.
He loved it.
It's got a really cool app that comes with it. You can use with your cell phone. We're not using that right now because we've got it, hooked into our podcasting setup. But I was most impressed with the fact that I took this thing straight out of the box, plugged it up with the USB cable to my cell phone, didn't have to install anything, and it sounded great.
Didn't have to adjust anything. You just plug and play.
You've got options to adjust stuff if you want to, but it's got...
Do you need adapters to plug it up? Or
Nope. You need a USB cable that comes in the box with it, to plug it into the phone.
So it's got an XLR and a USB.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
It's got a head...
I just see an XLR coming out. So
yeah, we're doing the XLR thing right now because we're going into an interface instead of into a phone. It's cool that you can do both, but you literally plug it into your phone, and it turns your phone into a handheld field recorder.
Two outputs is pretty...
Yeah.
I hadn't seen that before, now that I think about it.
There's a headphone output on it, too, so you can, listen to it through the microphone while you're recording.
Playback,
whatever. Tyler was talking about how this thing works basically like an interface. He's like, I can play music back through it. And I was like, well, that's a real outside-of-the-box application for it. Because you could just plug your headphones into your phone, but yes, I suppose you could use it to listen to music. It's, all kinds of different functions.
Well, when I saw the software he had up on the screen, it was just like a recording program, it looked like.
Yeah.
I mean, he just did everything. Had built-in effects and...
You can do EQ and compression, but these things sell for $250, I think, which for everything it does is... super, super reasonable.
I'm not sure. You may be violating the map there. I don't know.
Am I?
I hope not. I don't know.
We can look it up.
Was it an MV7?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, you probably just need to get Tyler to do a little video on it. Yeah, it's $249. You're right. Not saying that we wouldn't violate map, but in that case, we're not.
But in contrast to our topic today of the most expensive things, this is something
not
that
one
is
of those.
Correct.
Yes, I get it.
For, what else is out there in the world and what this thing compares to.
Well, we've sold hundreds of the
SM7Bs.
The big brother to that one at $400. So.
And that's still a great microphone, but, I think for kind of the average user that's doing podcasting, web streaming type stuff,
this is one that Shure just came out with where you don't have to have the preamp to go with it. It's built in.
It's got a preamp built into it. It basically is a little interface.
It's kind of a no-brainer, really.
But, Clay's still using the RE20 today, so if you guys have any feelings or thoughts about, how the new Shure microphone sounds compared to that.
I'll try and make sure to use my radio voice, and it still sounds great.
Leave us a comment. Let us know what you think. We are always interested in you guys' input.
Your criticisms, yes. Go ahead. Lay it on us.
But moving on from there.
Today's topic is...
the most expensive music items ever. So we are going to get started.
Hey, I see my list you sent me, but I don't have any prices here.
Well, that's because we're going to make you guess at some of the prices.
That doesn't sound fun.
Sounds fun to me.
Okay.
And then, we can talk about whether or not, that price tag is worth it. Or
seems
just
silly or not.
Silly or ridiculous. But the first thing on the list is the most expensive concert tickets pre-pandemic. Obviously there's not a whole lot of concerts going on right now, although I would imagine that if there were a concert, you'd basically have to hire the Rolling Stones to play distantly in your living room, so that could get pretty pricey. But
I'm just trying to think what's the most expensive one. I guess I've seen tickets for $1,500, but I think like $700 is the highest I've heard of actually paid. Mm-hmm. But I knew somebody that bought them anyway.
What's the most expensive tickets you ever bought?
2 Metallica tickets not too long ago. I bought them just to make sure that I got them a year in advance.
Mm-hmm.
Then the rep sent me a pair. It's really cool. Kind of sucked. I used mine and gave the other ones away.
Yeah, Metallica is probably one of the most expensive tickets that I ever bought, and I didn't even make it to that show.
It was cool.
We bought tickets when we were in high school, and we were going to Atlanta to see Metallica, and me and 4 of my buddies, and 3 of the 4 buddies got suspended, and nobody got to go on the trip.
That sounds like a story we shouldn't be telling there.
The names will be changed to protect the guilty.
Yeah, I like it.
But yeah, those were, I want to say, like $200 tickets or something stupid.
Well, this was like, I mean, I didn't go to a NAMM show because they were playing here in Birmingham.
Yeah, I remember.
Which was weird because it's like the first time I'd ever not gone to the California NAMM show. And they were like, I want to say they were like $650, $700. But I mean, it was kind of one of my bucket list things.
Well, the
and / anniversary, 30-year anniversary for me and my wife, so it was great. We had a good time.
We got to see Slash at the NAMM show that year.
Yeah. Anyway,
it was the 2nd anniversary of Gibson debuting back at the NAMM show. But the concert that we have on our list here was the Rolling Stones from Las Vegas. And concert tickets were $1,044.
When was that? Oh, that's face value. That's not actually selling. They're not talking about scalpers and all that good stuff.
Correct.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah,
yeah, because I think my ticket was like $300, $400 at the most.
Right. You know,
I just got scalped on it.
And there's no telling what you would have paid for these things buying them from somebody else
Sure,
once they sold
on the
out.
street.
You know,
It didn't say where it was at.
Las Vegas.
No, it doesn't say what venue though. Because most of the hotel venues are like 13,000, the biggest they get. At least back then, the last time when I was there.
At the MGM Grand Garden Arena in Las Vegas.
It's 13,000 seater. I saw Prince there. Sweet. Every seat was great.
Awesome.
I showed up out of the blue, and he was just there. It was great.
That's cool.
Me and my wife, her favorite.
Prince is her favorite?
Yes. At least it was.
I would not have guessed that from
her.
That's
forever and ever.
But Prince is great.
He's quite the showman. God rest his soul.
Number 2 on the list, the most expensive band T-shirt. This was an Adidas Run DMC T-shirt, and if you had to guess,
$200.
Oh no!
Did Madonna sweat on it a lot?
I don't know.
Well, I mean, it was less than that then?
No, much. It was more expensive than the Stones tickets.
It's a Run DMC shirt. $2,500.
$13,000.
All right, what's special about this T-shirt now?
It's Run DMC and Adidas.
Yeah,
and I'm guessing they don't make them anymore. You think our T-shirt guy could print one?
Probably so. I don't quite get that one though now.
I don't get that one either. That is, I mean, I love a good T-shirt. Don't get me wrong.
Sure,
but
$200 is high for me on a T-shirt.
Yeah,
I got a lot of them. They just get dirty.
I mean, you would have to think that the band had one of their kids born and wrapped in that T-shirt.
Yeah, there had to be something special.
Their
youngest was conceived on top of it.
Exactly.
Something
that's
really,
just really, really over.
It's got to be a better story to that than. What'd you say?
$13,000.
It must have been for a really good charity.
That would help explain it for sure.
Okay, I'm trying to come up with some type of reason for that.
There's got to be some kind of an outside of the box reason for it, but
it seems a little excessive. But hey, Adidas,
seems a lot excessive. The most expensive piano ever. Now, this thing was used once at the 2008 Beijing Olympics. It looks to be made of glass, maybe plexiglass. It's fancy looking.
Is it nicer than the one?
No, crystal. It's made of crystal.
Is it nicer than the one me and you saw Elton John play at that show?
No. More expensive, but... And those were expensive pianos. I want to say
that was the one where he played the piano and the
you can sync them
simultaneously. It was displayed video, and the audio was live all over the world. Like
yes,
China, Japan, Russia.
The whole concept of those pianos was, let's say that you and I both have recording studios, and you're in LA and I'm in New York.
Yep.
But I'm the piano player, so I can sit down at my piano in New York and play it, and you can mic your piano in your studio in LA, and it's going to play exactly what I played, and you can capture it in real time.
They had a piano sitting up there.
So they had a piano
playing
in like
in every
6
location.
different,
Yep.
venues throughout the world that were playing in real time what Elton John was playing that night, from Anaheim where we were listening.
Gotcha.
Which
how did we end up with third row seats at that one?
we did what we do and showed up and
Just make it happen.
Yeah, I mean,
that was a good story to tell. Crystal piano. I know they make regular pianos that are $500,000, the Borgendorfs or whatever, and I'll say $2.5 million.
not bad. 3.2.
3.2. Okay.
Which
Really nice. Does Elton own it? I think he would be the premier piano owner.
to me, that's a whole lot more reasonable than a $13,000 T-shirt. I mean,
Bang for the buck. Yeah, I'd have to agree.
Like we were saying, it's not crazy for a piano to sell for $500,000.
Yeah.
So for this to sell for 6 times that, being made of crystal and featured from the Olympics,
It took somebody 3 years to make it. Yeah.
A T-shirt that sells for $13,000 is 100 times what that's worth.
It's still just a T-shirt with a little logo on it.
The most
$3.5 million.
3.2.
Okay.
So 2.5 's very in line guess.
Yeah.
This one's kind of cool. The most expensive non-instrument music memorabilia. And this is John Lennon's custom 1965 Rolls-Royce Phantom V.
See, that would be worth more to me than the piano, easily.
Sure, me too. I would much rather have that. Looks like he painted it, at some point.
All the more
Sgt.
value
Pepper's
to it.
era.
Yes, all the more value to it. Can you show a picture of that to the folks? Oh, no.
Yeah, we can.
Gotcha. Yeah, flap that up and let them see it for sure.
We're going to pop these in on the edit.
I'd go with $2.5 million again.
You're low. 5.2.
Good. I feel better. I would assume it with him in the picture. I would assume it was sold while he was alive, so the value of $1 may be worth more. But I probably just assume in there.
Just because he's in the picture from 1965
doesn't mean that's when it was
doesn't mean
sold.
that,
Yeah.
I could see this car having been sold 2 or 3 times, since
And
he's
doubling
passed
every
away.
5 years.
But this, getting off topic as we do, looking at the picture for this that will pop up on the screen for you guys that are watching on YouTube, I saw something online the other day. Some friends of mine had a septic tank, and they had an artist come in and paint the septic tank like a yellow submarine, and it looks awesome.
You got a picture of that?
I'll get one.
Oh, that'd be cool.
It's really cool.
Where is it, in their backyard? Or?
Yeah. Moving on to the most expensive guitar.
Well, they got really expensive ones. What is it? Kurt Cobain.
Mm-hmm.
The D18.
This was the guitar that he played, during the filming from the MTV's Unplugged.
A lot of emotion. It's iconic. Yeah.
That's going to put a lot of, additional sentimental value, whatever.
$2.5 million.
Nope. $6 million.
Wow. I think I'd rather have 8 59 Les Pauls.
Oh, yeah.
But Kurt Cobain's a little, before my time. Or I wasn't paying attention, one of the two.
Oh, that's right in my time.
Yeah.
Like, it's not my wheelhouse of what I've listened to, historically over the years, but
I may have been asleep that year.
I was 10 years old, when that came out, and I was playing guitar 2 years later, and, Smells Like Teen Spirit.
Very influential in your world. Yeah, I get it.
And there's a lot of the reason why, Smells Like Teen Spirit is the first song you learn is because it's just 4 power chords. And those 4 power
Classic
chords,
rock.
if you play them with a slightly different strumming pattern, are also a Green Day song. So you learn one of them and you got them both.
Bonus.
Pick up a guitar, and 2 days later,
you got a whole set.
Got 2 whole songs that you
got
can
a
play.
whole set.
But I was thinking that through the David Gilmour auction, I thought maybe it was $4 million was where his
I think his was like 3.9. What did this one sell for again?
6. You know.
Yeah, somebody was emotionally attached to him.
Oh yeah, and in the again, those are charity auctions. The
Sure.
guy that bought the Gilmore Strat grossly overpaid for it and did so intentionally,
Tax
because it was a
write-off.
good cause. And
And he probably played guitar too. Not that he bought it to play, but
yeah, I forget the guy. He's CEO of something huge, and he's a guitar player and a
tech
music
company.
fan, and
Gotcha.
but
I wouldn't have thought that much money though. Yeah.
well, I mean, part of what was crazy about the numbers from the Gilmore auction is, if I'm remembering correctly, when Clapton did the Crossroads auction, like Blackie, the real Blackie Strat, only went for $1 million, which, yeah, just $1 million.
How long ago
Like,
was that though? I mean,
that was 5 years,
oh,
10 years.
I thought it was longer than that.
I mean, it was not long
Not
enough ago
ridiculously
that $1
long
million
ago.
would be $10 million today.
Yeah,
It's
I
not
get
like
it.
it happened in the 70s. It was.
Well, times have changed. The time value of money. You used to didn't hear of a lot of billionaires. Now you hear of a lot of trillionaires. It's just kind of weird out there now.
Printing money.
Yeah.
$1
Some people got it. Some people still looking for it.
million don't go as far as it used to.
Yep.
That'll only buy you 1/6 of a D18 owned by Kurt Cobain.
Yeah. That's kind of scary.
But I would also be kind of curious to know, like, when that guitar was sold. It would have had to have been fairly recent, because I was pretty sure that Gilmore Strat, when it was sold a year or two ago,
It was the
most.
top of the most expensive one.
Mm-hmm.
So, yep.
Moving on along, the most expensive music video ever made was Scream by Michael and Janet Jackson.
I would have thought Thriller would have been the one most expensive.
I think that's going to get into the whole, when Thriller was made, that's long enough ago that money went further. And, Thriller was one of the biggest budgets probably in productions of its time. That video had more of a theatrical, element to it. I want to say the intro to it before the song even starts is 4 minutes.
Oh,
or
yeah,
so,
yeah.
like,
With 400 people.
it's
yeah.
got a longer intro than the actual song is. But Scream, had a whole bunch of futuristic, they were in these crazy costumes going through these tunnels, and there probably was some CGI stuff involved that
would have been cutting edge for the day.
yeah.
I don't remember that video.
I remember it vaguely. It wasn't,
Anyway.
one of my favorites, but it was pretty fancy at the time. It was a $7 million production.
Okay. 4 would have probably been my top on that one now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's way on up there.
And now I'm curious as to, to know what Thriller cost to make, but I definitely think Thriller is a cooler video.
Yeah, I do know that one anyway.
Maybe it's Janet that runs up the price. I don't know.
That could be it. She don't work cheap. She normally get what you pay for with her.
So the next is the most expensive album ever made. And
Meet the Next with Ken Gilmer.
yeah, now I talked to Ken Gilmer this morning. He's getting us some stuff from Focusrite for some social media assets for
Sweet.
Sydney. But to me, like, this one's twofold. The dollar amount is kind of shocking, but the album itself is kind of shocking. Guns N' Roses, Chinese Democracy. Now, in part of the reason why this probably cost so much to make is I want to say it took them 10 years or something stupid to make this record. It came out in 2008, and certainly they were not working on it steadily for all this time, but, I feel like they started production on it like in the 90s or something.
So this is making the album or selling the album?
No, to make.
Oh, production of the entire album.
They did not get this money back. Chinese Democracy was not a success. It was.
Yeah, I was thinking, I'm not really familiar with that album very strongly.
Exactly.
I mean, I like Guns N' Roses, but it's all the stuff that I already know.
This ain't no Appetite for Destruction.
The obscure stuff I'm not familiar with.
This was, and it's not necessarily that it was obscure. It just was unsuccessful. This was their attempt to follow up Appetite for Destruction.
Oh, that's a hard follow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it took 10 years and $13 million.
Oh, I would have come nowhere close to that. Yeah. I couldn't see $1 million putting an album together.
I can see $1 million.
Not if you're not paying for people. And what year was that too now?
2008.
That's 12, 14 years ago. Yeah, that's...
I mean, you're talking
$1 million
probably
goes a long
$1,000 an hour studio time.
Okay.
You know, for them to sit around and wait for Slash to show up, and then wait for him to sober up once he gets there, and you know, I mean, there's a pretty widely accepted conspiracy theory that Slash didn't play much anything on Appetite for Destruction.
He was asleep.
We'll call it sleep.
Okay.
Passed out, whatever.
Somewhere else.
He was in the floor in the next room.
Did you say Appetite for Destruction, that one?
Yeah.
Wow.
The rumor or the legend is that it was actually like one of the guitar techs that played a bunch of that stuff on the record.
Well, I hope he got compensated for that. 'Cause it was quite the success.
I'm sure he got his per diem.
Yeah. Extra $25 a day.
Yeah. But, you know, the other thing to me that's kind of fun about that Appetite story is, you know, Slash is widely regarded as being, you know, the epitome of what a Les Paul and a Marshall sounds like. And almost all of that record was recorded on a modded Super Reverb. That's like this mysterious mythical amplifier that they rented from some local guitar shop near the studio. They finished the record. They took it back. That amp ended up getting sold somewhere else. No one has any idea where it is.
Still never to be found.
You know, like that iconic JCM 800 tone, modded Super Reverb.
I like it. EL84s rock.
You know, kind of like Jimmy Page, you know, another one of those guys,
Playing
widely
that Kelly.
accepted as, you know, what a Les Paul and a Marshall is supposed to sound like. The solo from Stairway to Heaven is that Telly.
Yeah.
It's all over their recordings.
Which one now? That's not the Dragon or the...
It would have been...
Mirror.
Well, yeah, it's the same guitar, you know. And by the time...
Do we have any of those left?
We have some Dragons left. I think we have one Mirror left. If you don't know the story,
Great time to make that pitch for those guitars.
If you don't know the story of Sir James and his Dragon, we've got a great video on.
You got to link that in somewhere.
We'll link that in. We might even take a commercial break and play that one right now.
Now, Ryan sponsor.
All right.
How much? 13 million.
13 million.
I can't really see that.
You know, I mean,
it was a year in the making, or.
I think it was more like 10 years in the making.
All right, well, that makes sense.
You know, $1,000 an hour in the studio for 10 years, I guess, runs up a pretty good bill.
Yeah, that'd be about 13 million, I guess, yeah.
All right, this next one's fun. Most expensive instrument ever sold at auction. And it's a Stradivarius violin.
$10 million.
15.9.
Hey, when was it? Does it say?
Let's see.
Hey, no pressure, man. No.
It doesn't tell us in our notes.
No problem.
Sydney's going to have to get us better notes.
She'll have to do a little better detail work.
She's going to go, why do I need to give you guys notes? You don't stick to my scripts anyways.
I'm going to call Dave and get him to tell you why.
We'll see here.
Oh, Taylor Swift. What's that got to do with it?
I feel like she was the top earner in the industry, but we'll get to that one in a second.
Didn't she come off America's Got Talent?
No.
She didn't?
She came off of a Rich Daddy.
Okay, cool.
2011 is when the violin was sold.
11, okay. And how much was it? 13?
15.9. But I mean,
it's not many of those left now.
It's a Stradivarius.
I get it. Yeah, it's the creme de la creme.
Like, literally, it's a piece of history more than it's an instrument. You know, these things were all of them built, you know, commissioned by royal families. You know, so
not everybody would want that type of quality.
Well, everybody
could afford it.
Yeah, but like the only people that could afford it literally were royalty. And they're the finest instruments that have ever been made. They're the most expensive. It's, you know, I remember I went to a event at PRS years ago,
Yep.
one of their experience events, and they were talking about, they wouldn't tell anybody where they thought it was, but they were convinced that they had found the forest in Italy where the wood was harvested to build the original Stradivarius instruments. And I never really heard a whole lot else out of that, so I'm guessing that they couldn't confirm it to the point to where it could be properly marketed.
Neither confirm or deny.
But I mean, Taylor, all of those guys, and to me, this seems like a really cool job. They have people that literally just go out in the world and search for cool wood.
Search wood, yes.
Yeah,
yes,
like go trunking around in the jungles and, find the best trees, to build guitars out of.
Yes. The last time I was at Taylor, they had, I guess it was like a car trailer, wide, about that tall, full of
ebony or
I can't even think now, but I mean it was just about that big, and it was like $750,000. It was kind of crazy.
Yeah. It'd have to be Coca-Cola or ebony or Brazilian rosewood or something silly.
I got a picture of it in my phone. I have to look it up and see. But I mean, now what's crazy is if they cut a piece of rosewood in Brazil, they have to identify location where that tree came from and track all the damn wood.
Like you can't cut one now. Like if I understand correctly, the rules are that if a rosewood tree falls down in Brazil, of natural causes, that you can drag it out of the forest and use the wood. But you are not allowed to cut one down. But, the problem with it is, once you've got, a Brazilian rosewood tree in your lumber yard, how do you prove that it fell down that you didn't go cut it down?
I imagine you got to pay somebody a lot of money to verify
the stigma for it, is so bad at this point that most of the manufacturers won't touch that stuff.
Yeah, they're trying to find a different way to make it happen.
They've all kind of got however many Brazilian rosewood boards left from the 90s that they'll build 3 more guitars out of, but nobody's really acquiring any more Brazilian.
What it is, yes. Well, they are developing new woods to use and different tone woods, which is interesting.
The East Indian rosewood, by all accounts, has essentially the same tonal qualities that Brazilian does. But, at this point, it's supply and demand. Like, now that you can't get more Brazilian, it's only going to go up in price and value. And
when you buy one that is Brazilian, it's going to...
Those old guitars that have, Brazilian... I mean, it's like those Taylors that we had, that had the Brazilian back and sides on them were, $5,000 guitars.
Yep.
It was an $8,000 upcharge or add-on for the Brazilian. So they were $13,000 guitars, but the only difference in those and the $5,000 base models was the Brazilian rosewood. So I mean, we're talking $8,000 for enough lumber to put back and sides on a guitar. I mean, that's
kind of crazy,
but it is what it is. So moving on to T Swift, she was the top earning musician yearly, currently and/or in 2019. How much you think Taylor made in 2019?
It was a good time. So $300 million?
185.
Ooh. I figured she was the hot. She was the number one earner.
Nobody made $300 million. That was the, she was it.
Wow.
I mean, she sells out everything that she does.
Everything she touches turns to gold, that's for sure.
Stylistically, she's not my favorite. Lily loves her. And she's just cute as she can be when she's singing her Shake It Off and all that nonsense. But, I mean, Taylor Swift, in my opinion, what she does better than anybody else in the industry is she completely understands her brand and how to market it. She really treats herself as an entity, as a brand, and like a business, and promotes it as it should be done. Yep. She knows who her audience is. She, writes songs that they love over and over and over again. She put out an album during the COVID thing that is really well done. But what was interesting about it is she did it on her own. Like, she didn't...
Recorded it herself?
Her record label didn't know that she was making a record until the day she released it. You know, she went out and had music videos
Surprise.
made on. Yeah, I mean, she just her own terms, however she wanted to do it. You know, she was stuck at home just like everybody else and started writing some songs. And, you know, a month into the pandemic, she had enough songs to make an album, so she started cutting the album.
That's cool. I wonder if that violated her contract with the album, with the
I think her
company.
contract is pretty much with
Do
herself
what I
at
want.
this point.
Oh, she owns
I
it.
mean,
Everything's her.
You know, she was on Big Machine Records for a while, but I think she
has the right to do what she wants to do, pretty much.
yeah, I'm not sure if she owns her own label, but like she owns her contract for all intents and purposes. You know,
I'm
she
sure
ain't
she
letting
does.
nobody tell her what to do at this point.
You know, musicians, as a rule, only screw up the first year or two, or album or two, and then they kind of take control if they're a success.
I mean, when you're the top grossing artist in the world, you know,
Gives you a lot of power.
any record label out there is going to be happy to take their cut of whatever you'll let them have. You know, I mean,
Yes.
that's just a no-brainer.
I get it.
But the last one here is the musician with the highest net worth. Belongs to Sir Paul McCartney
That's who I would have guessed. Yeah, I was trying to.
because he owns most of the Beatles catalog.
I thought he sold it to Michael Jackson.
I think he bought it back from Michael Jackson, or from Michael Jackson's estate, maybe
Gotcha.
after he died. But yes, Michael Jackson, and I don't remember the specifics. You know, that deal was kind of shady, and he did something kind of backhanded to get that catalog out from underneath the Beatles, and they were very upset about it when it happened.
I won't make any snide comments. We'll try and keep it clean.
But I feel like since Michael Jackson passed away, and I don't know this for certain, so if anybody out there does know, you know, correct us or straighten us out, tell us what really happened. But I feel like he got that catalog back after, you know, from Michael Jackson's estate after he passed away.
Yeah. I believe that to be true. I would think.
But how much you think Paul's worth?
Oh, billion?
1.2 billion.
Okay. I wanted to go trillion, but you got to really be turning something there to. I don't think he sells albums like he used to.
No one sells albums like they used to.
Kind of what I was saying.
But, you know, $1,000 a ticket, you can still make some money playing live.
Yep. That's for sure.
And
Probably make more money being the background tunes for a Coca-Cola commercial or something.
sure.
We're going to give a summation of everything here, or
What do you mean? What do you think was most ridiculous and?
No. You go, babe. I didn't read your. I just thought you were going to just go over them one more time.
Yeah, we'll give a rundown back down. We won't discuss them again, but just kind of hitting the cliff notes of what all we were talking
And
about.
what's within reason and what's not. Sure.
But our top 10 list here was and/or is most expensive concert tickets. Rolling Stones, $1,044 from Las Vegas.
And it didn't say the year.
It did, but I don't
Go
have it in
ahead.
front of me.
Run DMC T-shirt,
$13,000.
Adidas Run DMC logo.
That is, to me, that's the most ridiculous
That's
one
the
in
ridiculous
here.
one, yes.
I can see some logic, you know, and reasoning behind just about all of the other ones. The most expensive piano was the Heinzmann Crystal piano from the 2008 Beijing Olympics at $3.2 million. The most expensive non-instrument music memorabilia was
1965 Rolls-Royce Phantom 5, owned by John Lennon, custom painted, the motif of Yellow Submarine.
for $5.2
$5.2
million.
million.
The most expensive guitar was Kurt Cobain's 1959 D18E. I love how they put D18E because this thing has a pickup like mounted to the top of it.
Electronics.
Get an old catalog out. There's no such thing as a D18E from 1959.
Correct.
But it doesn't matter because it's Kurt Cobain, so it sold for $6 million.
And it was used on MTV Unplugged. Mm-hmm. In 1990.
But it's still a used guitar.
Yeah.
Most expensive music video ever made was Scream by Michael and Janet Jackson at $7 million.
Not Thriller, as I thought.
The most expensive album,
Ridiculously expensive album,
Guns N' Roses' Chinese Democracy, coming in at $13 million.
which was a failure.
Yep.
Most expensive ever
Instrument,
Stradivarius violin sold at auction.
we'll call it 16 million, 15.9.
You round
16
it,
is close
that's fine.
enough. Taylor Swift is the top earning musician at $185 million for 2019.
I guess that would be the top earning ever. But that was 2019.
I would guess. I mean, I would.
Elvis, well, you'd have to take a value of $1. Yeah.
Yeah.
We won't go that deep.
It's unlikely that anybody 10 years ago, 20 years ago. Now, if you factor in inflation, yeah,
Sure.
I think Elvis, might have
It's
done
early,
better.
man. I don't want to go down that road right
Oh,
now.
I ain't doing that kind of math. I need coffee.
But I was wondering, yeah.
The musician with the highest net worth value was Paul McCartney.
Sir Paul McCartney.
Like I said, I think we were both pretty well in agreement that the Run DMC T-shirt was pretty ridiculous.
I think Paul McCartney earned his money.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the Beatles have the greatest catalog of any musical artist, band,
So
or act
much
ever done.
stuff.
I mean, it just goes on and on.
Kind of
and
grew up
on.
with them. Changed.
The world as we know it, the music industry as we know it, all the stuff that Taylor Swift and everybody else is doing literally just wouldn't be the same without those songs. You can listen to them on repeat and, it'd take 2 weeks to go through the whole catalog, just running them
Just
one back to back.
Not to listen to the same one. Yeah.
But that was our, top 10 most expensive musical items ever sold.
It was cool. Yeah, I expected it to be a little different, but I was kind of happy I didn't embarrass myself with some of my guesses.
You were pretty in line with most of your
reasonable.
guesses. Yeah, I think you did pretty good with our little game there.
And you did surprise me, and I didn't know what the stuff was. That was bad. Anyway.
But that is the end of episode 2. We
Number deuce.
We appreciate all you guys out there for listening and or watching if you're joining us on YouTube. Riff Tide is brought to you by Bailey Brothers Music Company. You guys can follow us on social media on all the fun stuff. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, all that stuff. And as always, you can always find us at BaileyBrothers.com, where you are the star.
You are the star. Thank you.